1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, hello.
Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à vous qui nous retrouvez au petit matin. Ce 9e Vendée Globe est vraiment celui des grandes premières. On a eu les 8 premiers bateaux qui sont arrivés en moins de 24 heures. Et puis, grande première aussi pour ces commentaires arrivés pour l'arrivée de Maxime Sorel avec Olivia Vincent.
Bonjour Camille.
Bonjour. Bisous aussi du Vendée Globe. Maxime Sorel, justement, qui vient tout juste de franchir la ligne d'arrivée en 10e position. Le marin de Cancale, 34 ans, dont c'était le premier Vendée Globe, vient tout juste d'arriver. Olivia, les statistiques, on les a reçues à l'instant.
Oui, on vient de recevoir.
So welcome to our live coverage of the finish of Maxime Sorel, who's just crossed the finish line for the Vendée Globe, finishing in 10th place on V&B Mayenne. 34-year-old skipper from Saint-Malo originally, and now lives in Concarneau. He's come across in 10th place, a relative latecomer to ocean racing. But he's sailed a fabulous race. He's ended up a little bit out on his own. Not many competitors round about him in the last 3 weeks or a month. He's had his technical problems from time to time, which have left him just slightly isolated, but he's continued to press extremely hard, not least coming in ahead of this system. So his race time, 82 days, 14 hours, 30 minutes and 15 seconds. And Maxime, of course, an ex-champion, the Class 40 class, came through the multi-50s and only came into the IMOCA class in 2019. This boat has something of a checkered history. It was Thomas Riong's boat, which you all probably remember, nearly broke in half in the last race. And he had to retire into New Zealand, and previous to that was originally Group Bell, Quito de Pavon's boat, which also had never made it Welcome back then to our live coverage of the finish of Maxime Sorel, the skipper of VMB Mayenne, just crossed the finish line of his Vendée Globe at 3:50 this morning, UTC. Just coming into the channel, quite tough conditions out on the water just now. And there is Maxime, 34-year-old, first-time Vendée Globe skipper. Graduated into the IMOCA class in 2019 from the multi-50 and class 40. Started off in a budget, low-budget class 40 with V&B. And here he is completing his Vendée Globe. He left the start back on the 8th of November, just saying all he wanted to do was finish. And he has indeed completed his race in fine style. He ended up a little bit on his own. No rivals round about him. A gap ahead of 18 hours since the previous boat finish yesterday. And that was, of course, Benjamin Dutroux. So a triumph for Maxime Sorel and indeed for the boat. The boat was originally a Group Bell and didn't finish Quito de Pavon's Vendée Globe and was going well in the 2017 race with Thomas Rion until, of course, we'll remember the Rion hit a floating object and had to nurse the boat into New Zealand. And it's subsequently been bought by Kilcullen Voyager momentarily as Endo Koinen sailed the boat back from New Zealand to complete his race. So it has completed a round the world trip, but this is the first full Vendée Globe for the boat and for Maxime Sorel. Maxime was a consultant engineer before he took the big jump to become a pro full-time sailor, full-time skipper. Spent a period when he did both jobs, industrial engineer, consulting civil engineer who worked on bridges and roads at the same time as pursuing his sailing career. So Mayenne is a small area just between Le Mans and Saint-Malo. So he originally lived in Saint-Malo before moving to the one of the centres of IMOCA and French ocean racing in Concarneau. And you ask anyone about Maxime Sorel, the first thing they'll say, just a super nice guy. But clearly pretty exhausted. It's been pretty tough for him coming into the finish line, I say, pushing ahead of this big storm. And rewarded now as he comes in through the famous Les Sables d'Olonne channel. Technical team long since on board. Very much a family team as well, with his father and his brother involved. And so there'll be huge relief with the team that Maxime has completed his race in 10th place. Very solid result for him. He had his technical problems from time to time. Early in the race, we remember he hit an object and it blew the top off his fuel tank. He had fuel everywhere, and that was one of the down moments of his race. He had a couple of sail issues with his J2 and J3. Remember, he had a big sail repair inside the boat. And he had to repair his J2. The J2, the big working sail that's really the powerhouse of the IMOCA. So he spent, I think, around about 24 hours inside the boat making a big repair on his J2. Also had problems with his hydro generator. So when you talk about Michel Deschaux, he said the Vendée Globe is a pain in the ass once a day, a challenge once a day. And I think that has pretty much been the case for Maxime Sorel. But he's overcome each of these challenges in turn. He's always had a big smile when we have communicated with him regularly. And clearly he's enjoyed the challenge, risen to the challenge, and now benefiting from the moments of sheer happiness. The relief when he finishes the race. The tension starts to dissipate immediately. And even though it is just 5:15 in the morning here, local time in Les Sables d'Olonne, as ever, the local people who are so proud of their Vendée Globe and the whole heritage of the race are out on the streets to welcome Maxime Sorel. Just coming in very slowly now, just I would imagine he perhaps has a problem with his mainsail, he's not able to get it down. But they'll probably do that within due course as they come into the marina. But it's really a case of getting in as quickly as possible, given the conditions on the water. So a week into the race, as he probably hit a UFO or something of that order, because he blew the cap off his diesel tank and he had some vibration in the keel. But he did get into his race progressively, building up speed, and enjoyed the Southern Oceans for his first time. Built the boat speed, built his confidence. Just saying hello to, I think probably race director Jacques Carres, or so he's an industrial and maritime engineer by trade. As you say, he spent quite a while running his professional sailing career and professional sailing business at the same time as working on bridges and underwater structures for a company in Nantes. She was born in Saint-Malo. But he comes from Cancale, and he learned to sail with the primary school there, where he was at the age of 8. There we go, the mainsail comes down, that big dragon, which is really the iconic symbol of the V&B Mayenne project. Remember, we were saying with the previous finishes, it is a very strong moment on the Vendée Globe for the skippers when the technical team come on board and take over the boat. Well, Maxime, like others, wants to stay involved, keep charge of his boat until he reaches the pontoon. So he started out as a preparateur, helping a family friend or a business associate on his Route de Rhum project. And really that's what inspired him to get into ocean racing. So between 2015 and 2017 he was working between sailing and his maritime engineering projects. So just saying it's a little bit crazy, but it all went well in the end. He'd forgotten that it was the Vendée Globe at times, who just sailing serenely into the port until he arrived. A lot of wind at the end, but he was in the moment really as he came in. Looking to hold on to his 10th place. But he was happy to get here, just getting up an option there. He was considering the option at one point to slow to the Portuguese coast. But in the end, he looked at his options with the routings and got in. Had a problem with the inside of the boat, just after Cape Horn. Had to do some structural repair. The boat, the deck of the boat was moving a little bit. So that was one of his ambitions, the boat has never finished just a round the world race or a round the world race non-stop. So that was one of his ambitions, and here he has achieved that. So in the end, he sailed a super course. He said that after PRB had his problem, he certainly affected him. But he took some, enjoyed the race mostly, taking pleasure from it. There's his V&B team supporters out on the La Chaume there. So he looks pretty fresh for 81, 82 days on the ocean. Just talking about his problems that he had. But enjoying the moment now. This time will be over very soon when he gets into the port, into Olon, the Portalona, the marina. So the dream is completed for Maxime Sorel. He said his long-time dream was to finish the Vendée Globe. And his hero in life is Michael Jordan, who always triumphed over adversity, fought all his life, and Maxime identifies with that. Other problems he had, remember he had to climb his mast in 18, 20 knots of wind. One of the first, I think, if I remember rightly, to climb the mast to repair his J2. Certainly remember the images when he came down, his legs and knees and everything were all bruised. And his hands were in pieces. But he looked after himself well. He had a chef had prepared one or two special meals for him, and that just kept him going in the hard times and enjoyed the better moments. So 10th place, a very solid result for Maxime Sorel on his first Vendée Globe, a sailor I'm sure we're going to see much more of in the future. Sailed prudently, the right measure of speed and safety. A little bit unlucky at times to not be able to stay with that group in front, the trio of daggerboard boats, Jean Le Cam, Damien Sagan and Benjamin Dutreux. Just lost touch with them. And after that, when you end up being a weather system behind or a system behind, then it's so hard to make the jump back, largely about timing and opportunity. So he looks pretty fresh for somebody who's just raced around the world, doesn't he, Maxime? But he will enjoy these moments, and he's a very well supported sailor with, say, a fairly family orientated team, long time supporters. Coming out of Class 40 and a multi 50, I think he had at one point. The next boat to be in will be Armel Tripon. Now he's going to be another 2 to 3 days for Armel. Armel is having to shelter from this big system coming into the Bay of Biscay. So the public's still out to welcome, even though it's 5 in the morning. Just talking with the dockmaster from the Capitanerie. So he was always just at the back of the peloton for so much of his race. It's been a little bit frustrating for him at times because he's a very accomplished racer. B&B drinks retailers across France. But he was certainly in the leading group in the early part of the race, or in touch in the early part of the race, going down the east of the North Atlantic. And was leading Jean Le Cam in the early stages, just a couple of days into the race. He was pacing Omia Water Family, Benjamin Dutreux, in the early stages of the race. The three daggerboard boats were going well. But after his initial problems, he was down in the kind of mid-fleet positions, round about in amongst Roman Atanasio and Giancarlo Pedotti at the Canaries and the Cabo Verdes. think he came across the equator in about 14th place, 14th, 15th, something like that. And then that complicated descent down through the South Atlantic into the 40s. Just talking about life on board, just saying it was pretty tough, but he really enjoyed it. Are you happy with 10th place? Well, yeah, yes. I think he's just saying that when he's been told by a race direction that this depression was looking worse than they expected, then really focused about how good the 10th place was. He didn't want to lose it. So he certainly feels better for it, for pushing hard to get in. It's not a normal race. So Maxime Sorel as well, transformed as a sailor and as an individual for his Vendée Globe for sure. It's about being able to match up to the challenges and deal with them each day, and the sense of accomplishment, I think, builds all the way through the race. And in his case in particular, bringing this boat home safely is a big, big achievement. So he said before the start, he said they didn't, it was only in the last build up to the race, he suddenly started to realise what non-stop and without assistance really meant. And to be fair, I think he's really accomplished that. No majors, no big technical problems for him. Promised his supporters a big party on returning to thank them, and I'm sure behind closed doors that will be the plan for this afternoon and this evening perhaps. He said that his definition of a success in this race would be to finish and to want to go and do it again. I think there's probably no doubt that even if he's not in the mood to go again immediately, I'm sure that Maxime Sorel will be back in the Vendée Globe again. Certainly not put off by this experience. And works hard for the Association Vaincre la Mucoviscidose, which is a cystic fibrosis charity. So finished second in the Transac Jacques Vabre in 2015 with Pierre Brasseur on the V&B Class 40. Sailing with Sam Manward, sorry. Behind none other than Pierre Brasseur and Yannick Bestaven won that Transac Jacques Vabre. And that was the turning point for Maxime Sorel. That was the point that his sponsor said, right, you've got second in the Transac Jacques Vabre. What about stepping up to do the Vendée Globe? And they took on this boat. So with his team and his family, his brother, I think. So it has been a successful boat at times. Finished sixth in the Transac Jacques Vabre, first time out with Quito de Pavon and Seb Cole. And did the Transac Jacques Vabre. The next Transac Jacques Vabre was second with Quito de Pavon and François Gabard, if you remember. That was the race that put Gabard on the map, as it were, as a youngster sailing with Quito de Pavon. So one of the original VPLP Verde designs, same vintage as the original Safran. So 2018 was Maxime's first solo race on the Bermude 1000 race when he finished fifth. And he was 16th in the last Transac Jacques Vabre with Guillaume Lebrec. So 82 days round the world is a pretty solid performance from Maxime. So he's about 18 hours behind Benjamin Dutre, the local hero who came in yesterday. Coming into the Ponton d'Honneur in Portelona, just in front of our race HQ. And this is always a nice moment to come past the race boats, which have finished, often usually greeted by the technical teams, and often the skippers on board their boats to salute to the finishing skipper. You're passing Groupe Apicil, Damien Seguns et Moquin. His brother Jeremy Sorel is the team manager. So pretty accomplished career all in all then now for Maxime Sorel, from relatively small beginnings racing a vintage and older Class 40. Back in 2014 was really where he started in Class 40, so considering that's where he started, he's come through the ranks relatively quickly, and that's always been due to the support of sponsors. Once he got onto the support with V&B, it's been a great relationship, as indeed as it was, as you see them passing Bourreau Valley, same kind of relationship as Louis Burton has with Bourreau Valley. Bourreau Valley supported Louis have supported 10 years for Louis for 10 years, starting off with an older Class 40, and Louis finishing second on the Vendée Globe with a newer, faster boat than this V&B Mayenne, but I'm sure an inspiration for this young man for the future. And passing Charlie Dallin's Apivia. It's another of the huge moments that roll out over the course of the re-entry back to the race dock where he left 82 days ago, meeting the VIPs and the friends and the family who couldn't go on the water. Say it's been a pretty tough conditions out on the seas off Les Sables d'Olonne this morning. So only a limited number of spectator and support boats went out. You never tire of seeing these scenes of jubilation, contentment, joy. And re-entry into the outside world, as it were. You've been in your bubble for nearly 3 months, and there you go, Yves Auvenu and the Mayor of Les Sables d'Olonne welcoming the solo skipper back. I think a welcome there from Jacques Carrez is usually on the dock. And the Green Dragon, a mascot for V&B, not far behind. But yeah, it's always a special moment when the skipper is welcomed back by the race director. Race direction watch over the skippers 24/7 all the way around the world. And there's always a special moment when the skipper gives thanks for that care and attention. And now the champagne moment. Thank you so much to his team. The teams always live every moment, every sked. Watch the tracker diligently through the entire time, wondering how their skipper is doing, and a drop for the boat. An achievement bringing this particular boat back, as I say, safely. Considering, as we do, remember these images of 2016, 2017, December 2016, when Thomas Rion was in grave danger, but was almost breaking in half, and just managed to get it into New Zealand, into Bluff. A big hug from the Dragon. The magnificent Dragon. And of course the mainsail of the Imoca's branded with the green dragon, the mascot, the emblem of V&B. And the supporters from the sponsoring company and family and friends, and there's Roland Jourdan, I think. Big thanks to all his team, everybody that supported them through the journey before, during, and right now. This is the time for the thanks, to share the moment. I think that the friends and families and supporters just live the race differently. So we go the big backdrop that looks over us over the entire duration of this race, and pre-start. You're just saying it's a crazy race. But then to come into the... He said it's lovely to come in and share the moments with the people when you come back into Portalona. It's no comparison to the Route de Rome or the other races. 3 months, it's incredible to be at sea. Only just realised what he's achieving, to relive everything. So the nearly broken half in the last race, and you've got cracks in the deck again. He said the problems with it since Cape Horn, and just always stressing his head. Look at that. But other people have abandoned for less, and there's other people have abandoned with broken masts and things like that. But just thinking about all the people in confinement and everything else has inspired them to go on. It's a race against the clock. He's succeeded this time. Just focusing on his last jibe coming in, really. Living the moments on the way in. It's hard to explain what you live on the sea. But he's back on land and communicating with people. It's hard to explain what happens on the water at sea. And you spoke with the other skippers. You chat with them. Saying he'll be back in 4 years, but with more. Special delivery for Monsieur Sorel. Pizza. There we go. It's the last day. There we go. And why wouldn't you? 82 days at sea, and I'd imagine that pizza tastes as good as any pizza has ever tasted. He's enjoying the time back with his supporters before he comes up into his press conference, which I think actually will be this afternoon from memory. A little bit early for some of the media. So the tension will be dissipating gradually for Maxime Sorel. He's had a tough passage in ahead of this storm, but also seeing the damage now on the boat. But there you go, no stress, no limit. That's is Maxime. So that's really what we have for you just now for our live coverage.
Bonjour à tous.
Hello to everyone. Hello, Maxime. What a fervor for an arrival that is up to level with your race. Why were the teams worried for you? It's true that the last 72 hours, it was a race against time, because I have to say I almost took the decision alone to go before this depression. The race management told me it was borderline, it was risky because there was a lot of wind and sea, and it was complicated to cross the line and then join the channel. So many things happened, and telling me maybe I should wait. But honestly, I didn't really understand why I had to wait. I really wanted to reach the port. My technical team at the beginning was asking me to be more patient, to wait. But then I set everything on the table and told myself, I think it's okay. So I'm going. So how do I do it now? And here we are. So I think everybody worried about the state of your boat, because we didn't know it, but there have been a few important issues. Yes, there have been some issues. We didn't speak too much about it since the shipwreck of PRB. These are quite similar boats. PRB was a little bit lighter. For us, this boat had a lot of problems in the last edition of the Vendée Globe. So clearly, I had that in mind, and I couldn't push as much as I would have liked in the southern seas. If I had pushed it more, maybe I wouldn't even be here today. So it's clear that after Cape Horn, when I saw that there were cracks on the deck, I immediately called my team. We led repairs quickly, but it was really complex. We had to stick above and under in the trade winds of the South Atlantic. So I didn't really slow down the boat. Nobody asked me the question, so apparently nobody saw it. And it's only when I took the decision to go in front, ahead of the front, I had to push the boat, and if it would break, I was close to the coast, so it would be okay. So you are securing this 10th place that you wanted to reach, so congratulations. Now I'm going to leave the journalists who came here really early to ask the questions. Are you the same man that took the start 83 days ago? Of course not. I don't really know in which way I'm a different man. But in any case, with having experienced what I had coming up the channel and the emotions I felt seeing my team and my partners and seeing all of you here, I know why I did it. I think you have to finish the Vendée Globe to have to be able to want to return. You have to live it like this. I think I have to take some distance now, and I have to relive my race before understanding how my life has changed. Congratulations, Maxime. You were in a rush to arrive, clearly, but in the last few days, have you had time to reflect on this incredible experience? Unfortunately, no, I didn't have time. This race against time made me work and push really hard. You saw my average speeds. I was over my routings. I was at 90% and most of on the routings, and I was doing 105%. When the race management was telling me, be careful, I told them I've been at 105% for 48 hours, so I think it can work out. So unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to really realize what was happening. I would have liked to have the last hours kind of in a cool mode, being able to think back to all these things I experienced over the last 83 days and prepare myself to what was expecting me when I arrived in in Les Sables d'Olonne. 45 minutes before crossing the line, I was still having a nap because I was exhausted. Over the last 5 days, I have been in a complete lack of sleep, so in a special state. So I don't really realize what I've done. So you had a boat that you knew historically fragile because it had missed 3 round the world already. How did you realize that it was cracked, and how do you explain this? Actually, I knew when I left that I had an important mission, which was to finish the Vendée Globe, and mostly to have this boat finish the Vendée Globe, who has had trouble in the previous races. So I inspect the boat regularly. My technical team helps me to do it. We have a spreadsheet, and we list and we check everything. So I was going around the boat, and then I realized there was a small crack on the paint, which was really small. And I told myself, it's strange. I put my finger on it, and I realized that it was holding on. It was carbon, which meant that the first layer of the deck was damaged. So I sent this to my team immediately. They sent it to the architects, and the architects told us immediately, you have to open and see what's under the paint. If there's a crack, it means that it's breaking up. So if the first layer is broken, the foam is broken, and only the layer under that's holding. So that was a big surgery moment on the boat to ensure that the crack did not spread everywhere on the deck and on the sides. Another question, you spoke very beautifully of the 4th cape that you tried to cross. Can you tell us more about it? And have you been able to reach this cape? Yeah, I didn't write much, but I did write a few things. Actually, I'm someone who is always living at maximum speed. It's true that the preparation of a Vendée Globe is just crazy. You are doing everything in all domains. I have a small team. We are 3, technically speaking. So I am managing all the aspects of my project. I am a civil engineer, and I love this. So that's what I did on this project. But during the first week of the race, it was like a classic transatlantic. We were going really fast. I spent some time at the lead of the race. It was euphoric. And then after the equator, when I went into the South Atlantic, I spent 5-6 days on the same tack. There was nothing to do. I had not even much to trim. So I had like this emotion that came up, and I discovered what it was like to be bored. And I realized that it's the beginning of the Vendée Globe, and I still have 90 days to do. And how am I going to live this the rest of the time? So I started kind of some introspection work, and while listening to some music that have lyrics that were adapted to this reflection, I started writing my thoughts, my feelings, and what I was going to do to solve this. And I realized that it was actually a chance that the Vendée Globe was giving me to have time for myself and do this introspection work. And the following days, I lived them differently, but I had to go through this stage. I called this the 4th cape, because we say that there are 3 capes to round on this Vendée Globe, and the 4th cape is the internal cape, and you have to go much beyond what you're able to do. Can we ask you what the music was, or is it too indiscreet? It's called Bora Vocal. I didn't know it before. I don't know where it comes from. I have a playlist that created itself on Spotify. Oh, by the way, Spotify and Netflix, I had movies and films and music, and after 1 month, everything expired, so I had nothing left. I'm registered, but there was nothing, no music, no films, so that was clear. But it's true that nobody had left with Netflix in his pocket during 3 months, so nobody knew that it expired, so nobody told me, and there was no solution. In what physical state are you after this Vendée Globe, and do you know if you lost weight, if your body has changed? Huh? Did you manage to feed yourself correctly as you had planned? We saw you quite fresh arriving, but it seems like they're floating in your pants. Yeah, I don't have a belt. Yes, indeed, I lost weight. I was in my trunks earlier on, and I don't have any more calves. I was doing a few squats when going up South Atlantic because the conditions were suitable, because I wanted to move it a little bit, but I lost weight. I don't know how much. I'll tell you later on. But it's true that managing the food for this race was different from transatlantic races where I have a nutritionist with me, I have my sleep organized, I have a method to sleep. So that was okay during 10 days until the Atlantic South. But after in the great southern seas, I couldn't manage anymore with a jet lag. I didn't know when I had to sleep. It was daylight all the time. And for the food, I thought I was going to eat much more in the south, and actually not really. I ate things with more fat, but I still have enough to do a double-handed transatlantic in my boat. Huh? So yeah, probably I lost weight. I left without too much, so I couldn't lose too much either. But if you want at lunchtime, we can eat freeze dried food, because there's plenty. I had great meals. I had a fondue savoyard a little while ago, and it was worth it. There is white wine in it, and you can taste it. Maxime, you were speaking about the boat that had never finished around the world before yours. What was the worst moment? Was it when you bared away really suddenly, or was it at the end when you finished with this threat, and or around the PRB rescue event? It's difficult to say the worst time on the boat. When I learned what happened to PRB, I was not reassured for Kevin. It's difficult to experience this. For us, the other competitors, the race kind of stops, actually, because we know that there is a guy who's alone in a life raft, and boats are going to try to look for him. We are on the water. We see the night coming. It's really strange to live. It's true that we pushed the boats less after that. And immediately, I also knew that my boat was the same as PRB's. It was built in the same way. It was also the same as Isabelle's MACSF boat. So I called the team and I asked them for a meeting with the architects to understand what was happening, because it wasn't normal, a boat that was sinking at this speed. So that was a difficult period, because it was the beginning of the southern seas. I was dreaming of the southern seas with great waves and surfing, and actually I was prohibited to nosedive much in the waves. The architects are funny, because I'm not the one who decides how the boat dives or not. So actually you keep unsetting the boat and not setting it, because sometimes you surf at 29.7 knots. That's what I saw, but that's quite fast for a dagger bird. And when you slow down at the bottom of the wave, you see that it pulls everywhere on the boat. So yes, when I bore away suddenly, I thought it was the end. The mast in the water, everything at the head of the mast was not working anymore, sails in the water. I thought the mast was going to break once it touched the water, because it's fragile. And then it took me 1 hour and 45 minutes to get out of that. And there was 55 knots of wind. I think if there was a contest of original passages of the Cape, I think I would have won it, because I had trouble at Cape Lewin and trouble at Cape Horn. But maybe, and not at Cape of Good Hope, but maybe next time. What happened in your head when you bore away suddenly? You said that you were really scared, or did you tell yourself that you needed to jump in the life raft if necessary? No, it wasn't to that point. So the worst would have been if the mast had broken and the race would have stopped. But 24 hours before Theta, the tropical depression, one of my pilots stopped working. We never understood why. It went out of order. It didn't, no alarm went off. And so my boat bore away or broached. So I was eating, I was sleeping, and I didn't have the time really to get dressed. So the water was really cold. I didn't even have my socks on, but it's also hell to live all the time with this feeling of that something can break down. My sails are damaged, a lot of them, and it's not because the sailboat did not function well. It's just because the boat was broaching all the time. The whales were flapping all the time. And when they flap 15 times, it's really complicated. So I made a video of myself when I was a little bit euphoric. I was waiting to find a bread, and that I didn't have this pilot that could switch off at any moment. That's really difficult to manage. Although, despite the fact that I had 3 pilots on board. You just said next time. Does it mean that you're also already ready to launch yourself in a 4-year project? And if you do start again, with what type of project? And clearly, would you like your partners to help you to build a new boat? They're here, so you can ask them. And would you go in the direction of an extreme boat, or a boat like this is good for you? And because it proves that you can go around the world with something that's not super high tech, and that's so about the first question, do you want to go back and with a new boat, and with which means? Actually, I started offshore racing in 2014 on my own project for the Route du Rhum. That's when VNB joined me 3 weeks before the start. It's been 6 years that we've started this great adventure. Mayenne department joined us 1.5 years before the start of the Vendée Globe. It's a great pair. We have a wonderful team. We're not many. We don't have many means, but I think people speak about of us, and in a good way. We went to dream once around the world. I wanted to learn the ropes with an old generation boat to finish this round the world. I took the start of the first Vendée Globe, and I finished, so it's just exceptional. So whatever happened, and the position that I have, I think that since I did it in a class 40, I wanted to do it also in an IMOCA class. I like competition. So I would like to be in contact with the front runners. Of course, I'm thinking of the future. I will be in 2024 at the start of the Vendée Globe with a foiler, and we are thinking about it with VNB Mayenne to know how we will do it, but we have the wish to continue together. We have already written a wonderful story. We have a beautiful dragon in our sails for an organization that I really appreciate against mucoviscidosis. So we still have lots of things to say, and so I think in 4 years we can still tell great stories and live a great adventure in 2024. But I didn't say that it was signed. It's a project. For the other question, which was what type of boat, I have thought a lot about it during this edition, but this edition was extreme in all senses. We had weather conditions that were hard. It's my first, so I can't really compare. I just read what Jean Le Cam was writing. So yeah, apparently it must have been a difficult edition because it was quite hard for him. That for me, clearly the future is in foilers, maybe differently. But the Classe IMOCA is already working on this subject. It's a good thing. It would be good that we control the cost of the boats. That's clear. We already see newer boats that are cheaper than the previous ones. I think there are many things to do. The IMOCA class is a great class, super international, with a lot of discussions. There's a lineup which is quite homogeneous because you have 4 dagger boards in the top 10. So yes, on a specific Vendée, but I've done many top 5s in many races with this boat already. I wouldn't go in the direction of an extreme boat because I realized that for the Vendée Globe, you have to finish it to do a good position. And you mostly have to manage every damage that you have on board. You can retire a Vendée Globe because the boat sinks or dismasts, but I can't understand that you stop a Vendée Globe because you lose a foil or you have a small damage that handicaps you. You can see what Sam's doing today and Charal's doing now. I congratulate them. I wrote a message to Jérémy on the South Atlantic when he was in the doldrums coming down, and I wrote him that it was absolutely amazing what he was doing. It's at the same time I was writing my text on the 4th Cape, and I was really thinking about him because this guy left saying that he was going to win the Vendée Globe, and he actually leaves after everyone, and it's clearly hell for him. So I was putting myself in his shoes, and I was telling myself that I was not that bad. Are there any other questions in the room? Do you want to talk more, Maxime? No? Or do you want to go to bed? No. I can't go to bed now. I'm going to party now. Congratulations, Maxime. And of course, there was this part of the Vendée Globe where you were leading. It's something important. Yeah, I was leading on 8 trackings, so I think Le Cam 9, so it was magical. The first morning, I think, when I woke up at off Cape Finisterre, you see the coast, and you are everyone one next to each other in a very slow wind, and then the wind picked up and we pushed, and 2 days later I was the leader and I remained the leader, so I didn't understand what was happening. That's not what I was looking for, but it's a bonus. It felt really good. So I have a last question for you, Maxime. The way you say things, you always have a good energy, and every time we had you in radio interviews during the race, we found that there was this positive aspect in your race despite the problems. I wanted to know if it's like this in your life or if it's your method during the race. Kind of a kind of fulfillment. I had the mission to show that nothing is impossible. For myself, for my partners, for my team, for the patience of the organization. It was a big mission, and I'm a little bit like this, yes, in my life. And what I found great on this Vendée Globe is the time that you are given. It's the time that you take to do the race, but it's the time we have to tell things. And you don't have this on the other races, on the Transat, on the Route du Rhum, because it goes so fast that you don't have the time to write or what we want to tell you. We experience extraordinary things at sea that are difficult to express. I'm not a writer. I can't make a movie of what I lived. But with everything I can send, I can maybe narrate a little bit of what I experienced. And that's the strength of our project, is to share with a maximum number of people. And I need this because I'm not a solitary. I didn't go on start the Vendée Globe to be 80 days alone on the sea. And I spent my time writing to many people, and many of them are in this room, to whom I send messages. Actually, we had another project in parallel. One of the co-founders of V&B, Jean-Pierre Drouet, who went around the stores, the shops of V&B, the 200 and so shops. So it was his Vendée Globe. He went around all the shops. And actually, we have to finish this loop because there is a shop in La Réunion. So we're going to leave for La Réunion, imagining there's no COVID. But actually, we also live this story in parallel, his race and my race, and we were discussing, and we were doing video conferences in the shops and sending messages, and I needed this to send mails to my partners and telling them what I was living. And I think they were really happy because they sent me messages back that it really pleased them, so thanks to them. So if we're going to let you go now so that you can have a shower, eat. Oh no, eating for me, it's complicated. I had a snack a few hours ago because I had Nutella and peanut butter left. So I'm going to finish it. And so it's a bit difficult for the digestion. So I believe that everything I'm going to eat is going to be the same. I want to eat many things, but I think it's going to be the same way. Congratulations, and thank you for this nice press conference. Thank you.